We're getting ready to start a journey through the book of Romans. So I thought to start out with, we'd talk a little bit about the book and kind of give us some framework for which we study and interpret it. The book was probably written about 56 to 57 AD. Paul is the author. It's actually a letter to the church in Rome. He most likely wrote it from the church in Corinth, probably on his third missionary journey. Now, we don't know a whole lot about the church in Rome. We do know that Paul did not found it. It was most likely founded by someone who was present during Pentecost and then returned to their home in Rome. We know that Rome was a large city. It was the center of the world at that particular time. And so it was a huge melting pot full of a variety of different cultures and people from different backgrounds, including Jews. And so the church in Rome would have been a mixed group. There would have been various different Gentile groups as well as Jews. And we also know that one of the problems they were dealing with was the Judaizers. And these were people who felt that in order to be a Christian, you had to be a Jew first. And so they were trying to force Gentiles to adhere to the totality of the Jewish law. And in a council in Jerusalem, this has been determined to be unnecessary, that Christ had fulfilled much of the law, and there were only certain things that Gentiles had to keep in mind as far as moral restrictions went. So when Paul is writing this letter, he's writing it to this mixed group of people that are dealing with this problem that was pretty common to the church at this time. Now, there's a couple of different ideas about why Paul was writing the letter. Some people think that he was writing specifically to address the Judaizers, that he wanted to kind of put an end to their false teaching. Other people say that the letter was more of his resume, that he was planning on visiting the church in Rome, and they didn't know him personally, and so he wanted to give them an idea about who he was and what his basic theological beliefs were. I kind of fall right in the middle. I think that it is his resume, that he is wanting to let them know exactly what it is he believes, and I think he was also wanting to address the issue of the Judaizers because he wanted to get that out of the way before he came to the church so that he could actually start teaching them some new things. I think he also wanted to give his resume because at this particular point in time, he had a reputation, and there were groups of Christians that actually were antagonistic to Paul and were actually spreading false rumors about him. So he wanted to clear everything up, get everybody on the same page, and then set out to tell or to give them a foundation for which they can work. So the letter is a little more general in its scope than a lot of his other letters because he's not addressing a lot of specific issues. He's kind of saying, hey, here's the basics of what I believe. And so when we look at it, we realize we're getting a really awesome overview of the gospel and of basic Christian theology. Also, we do need to keep in mind that Paul was writing to a specific group of people. So as we look into the letter and as we start studying it and really digging in deep, we need to understand that we're looking at a mixed group. We're looking at Gentiles and Jews and a lot of the different baggage that those groups are bringing with them into their Christianity. So as we really dig into this, we want to always keep that in mind. Because when you study Scripture, it's important to always keep in mind the audience that it was originally written to, because they're the people that are going to get what was said, and we have to look at it from their perspective. So I hope you enjoy this journey. We're going to kick it off. Next week, we'll be actually in the book, and we'll be looking at the very first section, and we'll really be digging into it. Have a great day.